Hey, this is Bond Diesel, and I'm going to try to bring you a as quick as possible video on an idea I have for the Division 2 and how I really hope the game kind of works out using a few other games as examples. The thing I want to cover is the skill, talent, and perk system as we had it in the Division, and then kind of how I would like to see it in the Division 2 and the ways I would like to see it be very different. The first thing I'd like to do is to talk about four other games, three that I've played extensively, one that I have not, but I've read up a lot about it and asked some advice from other people about it because I felt like it deserved to be in the list. So, the first game I would like to talk about is Fallout, and really talk about Fallout in general. Fallout 4 changed up a few things, and while it's the example I have, it's probably not the best example on Earth. But Fallout has a general system where you get points as you level up to spend on skills. You have to have a certain special level and various traits of your character to get certain skills. But that's a more complicated thing, and if you're not into Fallout or something like that, you wouldn't really get it. And I really don't want the Division to have a special system the way that Fallout does. But it is a bit of a snake system of you have one talent to go to another. Fallout 4 even had a situation where there are multiple levels to each skill, and various things like doing more damage at night, or being able to stay underwater indefinitely, things like that. But overall, the whole idea of the Fallout system I liked, and Fallout is what I would consider a very good RPG. I'm specifically talking about 3, New Vegas, and 4. I've personally, despite being a Fallout fan, never played 1 and 2, or some of the various offshoots from there. But that's my first example. My second example is Ghost Recon Wildlands. If you watch my stream or pay attention to me in general, you'll know that I'm not a gigantic fan of the PvE of this game. It just doesn't interest me. I think it's very good. It just doesn't really hold my interest for a few reasons. But the leveling up system and the skill system is actually something I really like. So it has a similar system to Fallout in a way where you get points as you level up, but you need various materials picked up during the single player missions and exploration to create the skills. So not only do you need to have a level up token, or whatever you'd like to call it, but you also had to have collected certain materials or certain things from the world in order to get those. This is a thing that I find in the Division would be really, really interesting, and would add another use to the crafting materials that many of us have just sitting stagnant in our bags. The PvP has a separate system where you purchase and upgrade specific operators with points that you earn while playing the PvP mode specifically. I don't really know if that would have any kind of impact or anything into the system I would like to see in the Division 2, but it's still worth noting. Assassin's Creed Origins is the next game, and this is a game that has a system that I really, really liked playing through the game. You have a system where every time you level up, you get points, and you use those points on abilities and new tools even. The twist here is that some items cost 1 upgrade point, but others cost 2, I believe even 3 upgrade points. So you have to upgrade, you have to level up 3 times before you can even buy it. There's even, the big feature with Assassin's Creed is that there's basically 3 wings to the skills that are interconnected, but loosely. And in each wing, there's actually a skill that you can upgrade indefinitely. You don't just use it once, use it over and over again to get marginal gains on certain skills. The one thing about this one I would like to note is that you can access all of the skills on the skill tree once you reach a certain level. and that's important to remember for my final point in the video. The last game is actually a game I have not played, but I've watched people play extensively, and it's Horizon Zero Dawn. It's another system similar to Origins, where you use upgrade points on various skills. But the twist with this one is that there's like 4 different categories that you go into, and they've kind of separated out, sort of similar to the Division 1, where you have the different wings, basically. The difference being that there is a snake system here where there's a few upgrades that you have to have before you can get a different one. You can't just upgrade, you can't just buy a skill and skip. This one didn't really have anything super unique about it, but it's just such a good game, and deserves a lot of attention because it's that good, and it has a system again that I think could influence a game like The Division and be really interesting. One thing I do before I kind of go into my thing with Division 2 is to realize that 3 of these games are completely PvE, have no PvP in them. In Wildlands, that does have PvP, has a completely separate system, literally a different game mode that's separate from your PvE game. I think that may say something. I think with the Division 1 we found that trying to mash together PvE and PvP, either with gear, skills, all those things, it's really hard. And while I don't think it's impossible to make it work, maybe we'll see a system in the Division 2 that makes it work. It seems like when you look at various RPGs or light RPGs, like most of these games are, including the Division, you realize that there's a reason why games don't often go that direction. So my final point here is talking about actually the Division 2 and what I would kind of like to see in it. So I would like to see the Division use a system that has a combination of the 4 games and maybe some unique ideas as well. Even using the current TD system, I'd like to see the skills, talents, and perks rolled into one big skill tree, maybe still using the 3 branches, kind of like Origins. That must be unlocked based on your player level, skill points, and materials. Again, kind of harkening back to Wildlands. My twist is that you cannot unlock all of the skills, talents, and perks on a single character. You have to be forced to either go completely one direction if you want to unlock everything, or risk going very shallow into all of the different wings of skills, but never being able to fully upgrade everything and maybe get every single perk and talent and modification of skill. Obviously, this would require the skills, talents, and perks to be changed, balanced, and even a bunch probably to be added or removed from the current set. But I think it'd be a great way to encourage people to have multiple characters with the various different roles. A character that's a healing-based character, a character that's DPS-based, maybe even long-distance fighting-based. Basically, you could get into 10, 15 different vague roles and then go even more specific from there based on your gear and things like that. This kind of change would require a few things, including a story that's worthy of replaying, and it would need some really high price ability to reset all of your points as some kind of in-game activity and be able to repick your skills and talents and perks from scratch. So if you level up your first character, you use all of the tokens or however they would do it that you can possibly get, and then you just realize, like, man, I really didn't do this the right way. I wish I did something different. I would like there to still be an ability for you to reset your points and get to repick your skill tree. I think it should be insanely expensive and time consuming to do something like that. But especially maybe even your first character that you make, you get one free one. Because a lot of people who are new or unfamiliar with the game, even us veterans of the first game, would maybe not make the best choices as we learn the system in the new game. So something like that, though, my biggest thing with the Division 2 is I want to be forced to make choices, to make hard choices, to not just be able to say, oh, never mind, I don't like the turret, I'm just going to switch over to the Seeker Mines because they're better and everyone's using them. I like the idea of being forced to make choices that have severe implications in the end game and for the particular character. I would also like to be able to switch characters and them have extremely different roles and uses. Maybe there's a character I only use for solo. Maybe there's another character that's specifically good at legendary type missions. Maybe another character that's really, really good at DZ activities, whether it's PvP or farming. So my kind of overall point here is that I feel like this would really take people who have kind of figured out the RPG stuff a little bit and kind of make that a bigger thing, to go deeper into the system and to really start to see people to have to spec into the roles and so on that have kind of been missing. You know, we don't really have a tank. We don't really have a healer. Like we do, but you know, right now the 3 meta sets that people would consider in PvP, especially in the DZ, are basically just tank DPS healers, which, you know, in an RPG, even a light RPG like the Division, maybe not offer the variety that we really need it to. So that's my idea. I appreciate it if you made it to the end of this video. You know what buttons to hit and what subscriptions to do and things like that. If you want to find me, down at in the description, there'll be some links that you can check me out in some other places. But until then, this is Bond Diesel, and I will talk to you next time.